Hello, everyone. We're going to give it just another few seconds to let everyone get into the webinar, and then we'll begin. Okay, it looks like we're good to go. So welcome, everyone, and thank you so much for joining us today as we share with you one of our beautiful gems in Italy, the Hotel Chalet del Sogno. But I first just wanted to start by introducing myself. If you're familiar with the Lush sales team, you're probably thinking, who are you? So I'm the newest member of the Lush sales team. My name is Tim Marquette. I'm based in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, and I will be looking after our friendships and partnerships with advisors and agencies throughout the Midwest. So if this includes you, please definitely reach out to me so that I can get to know you and make a personal connection. All right, so the reason that we're here today is to learn more about the Chalet del Sogno in this stunning region of the Dolomites in northern Italy. If you're not already familiar with the Dolomites as a destination, it really is a beautiful, magical place. The mountains are incredible. Obviously, we know them for skiing in the winter season, but it's a great destination in the summertime as well, especially with its proximity to the lake region, Lake Garda specifically. So it really just has so much to offer for your clients in any season, as well as its beautiful Italian Alpine heritage, which is so rich also in gastronomy with local food, wine, cheese, etc. So it's just an amazing place to visit for any of your clients. And I'm looking forward to having Alberto share that with you. Before I introduce Alberto, I just want to remind you that if you have any questions, to please put them in the Q&A, and I will make sure to read those questions at the end. And yeah, I hope that you enjoy the webinar today. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce our friend and partner, Alberto Schiavon, the owner of Hotel Chalet del Sogno. Thank you. Buonasera, Alberto.
Buonasera. Hello, everyone, and thanks for attending in the first place. So thanks for taking the time. We know you're all very busy by selling around the world property. So for tonight, we wanted to welcome you in my world, because this is the place where I was born. This is the place where my family built the Hotel Chalet del Sogno. As you see, it says enter the dream, because Sogno means dream. And this is the property that was built in 2006. So the first things that I will do is introduce you to this area. Why? Because there is a lot of talking, there is a lot of, let's say, different understanding on what are the Dolomites, how are the Dolomites, where they are, and also how the locations here and what they can offer. So the first part of the webinar will be basically to give you an understanding of what is possible, where we are, etc., etc. And then the second part will be dedicated to the Chalet del Sogno directly, so our small boutique hotel. A lot of people says that I spend time to introduce you to the destination more than the hotel itself, because I do think it is important. So today we will try to do both. So the Chalet del Sogno, this is our family's logo. We're obviously part of the family Lush Experiences. We're also Select Hotel and Resort and Serendipity, but generally speaking, we are independent. So we're not yet Virtuoso or Leading or Relais Chateau for different reasons. This is our small boutique hotel. It's a property that recall only 18 suites. So very cozy, very charming. And as you can see, it's ski in, ski out. And I obviously introduced myself. Why? I was telling you I'm talking a lot about destination, because my past was basically a professional sport. I was a skier, and I stopped skiing when I was 14. I started being a snowboarder in 91. I was the first one here in town, and I spent 20 years of my life basically competing all around the world, from doing a couple of Olympics here and there, 9 times at the East Games, and I've been traveling all over the world, basically in winter and summer. Nowadays, I also am a sommelier, and I'm a mountain guide and an Alpine guide. So let's say that my mountains and the mountains around are my, how to say, my heritage. This elegant chalet, as you can read, was built in 2006 and is located in Madonna di Campiglio in the Brenta Dolomites. Why we say the Brenta Dolomites? Because most of you know the Dolomites in general. There is the eastern one and the western one. And the two towns where are more known, let's say, is Cortina d'Ampezzo, which is somewhere here and closer to Venice, and then Madonna di Campiglio. It's a little bit like cat and dogs. So if you want to compare, I will compare between Vale and Aspen. So also another one that I use very common to compare, it's Telluride. So Madonna di Campiglio, it's a town that looks like Telluride. And as you can see, it's located in like what I call the magical triangle. So Milano, it's only 3 hours. This is the main airport, or also Venice is also 3 hours. And then Verona, it's only 2 hours. From the northern part of Garda Lake, we're about an hour drive. So we're very close by. Just to give you a better sense, I use this one where you can navigate. You can see we're very close, Madonna di Campiglio to Verona. It's only 2 hours. And within this triangle, you can combine tons of experiences, meaning that you can fly into Milano, doing 2 days of shopping, come up in the Dolomites here in Campiglio, spend 3-4 days in summer here, and then out of Venice, or doing Venice, Garda Lake, for instance, and then here. The other Dolomites are based more in the north, and another huge difference is, first of all, the difference in distance between us and Garda Lake, which is only an hour, and the other ones here that are about 2 hours. And the other thing is, especially in the area of Ortisei, Valcardena, this is where they speak German. So here in Campiglio, we are 100% Italians, and this is our main language. There is no double, let's say, labels or things like this, and we only speak Italian, versus up here, where the German and the Latin plays a main role. And this depends on the vacation that you wanted to organize, and depending on the clients, could be also something that is very related to the culture. So here we're more like Italian, so you can still get dinner at 9 o'clock, versus maybe some of the area up there in north where after 8 o'clock it's almost difficult. So there is always goods and bad, but it's important to know and to understanding. Obviously, Cortina is very well known now for the second Olympic that they're going to host. Madonna di Campiglio, it's more like a mountain village, so it's smaller. That's why I compare it more to Telluride, versus Cortina, that could be probably more like a Salt Lake City or Park City, something like that. So this is just an introduction to where we are and how do you usually get to here. It's very easy. We go back to the main picture. So from Milano, Venice, or Verona, you can either get a private transfer, which usually takes Milan and Venice is about 3 hours and a half. From Verona, it's only 2. Usually Verona is for short-haul flight, meaning that it's well connected, very well connected with Monaco, with Frankfurt, with London, for example, with Paris, versus Milano and Venice, which obviously have long-haul flights. So you can fly out of Miami, of Newark, Atlanta, etc., depending on the carrier. What means this? That you can have a direct flight into Milan or Venice, or you can always fly into Monaco, Paris, the other. The big difference is that Milan and Venice and Verona are, let's say, 365 days open, versus, for example, Innsbruck or Monaco, where in wintertime, I wouldn't compare them with Chicago, with the O'Hara, but I would be very careful to fly in certain periods into those flights. So Milano has no icing, for example, neither Venice or Verona. So if you're looking at winter, this is something very important to keep in mind. Once you get to the airport, as I said, you can either reach here by private transfer, especially in wintertime. Once you get to Madonna di Campiglio, the Chalet del Sogno, you don't need a car. Everything is walking distance, all the restaurants, the hotel is ski in, ski out. In summer, all the trekking, all the experiences are very close by. There is always a possibility in summertime to use a rental car to go visit the neighbor, the surrounding, the other part of the region close to Trento. But in general, you can also spend 4 or 5 days easily here without having a car. The other alternative, there is also for private jets, you can land in Bolzano. And also there is an heli taxi possibility from Milano, from Venice, from Verona. Consider approximately 35 minutes in helicopter. So this is just a general overview of where we are and how we can reach Madonna di Campiglio. I always like to show this first picture, which is actually the very first design of the Chalet del Sogno. This was in 2006 and was built by using architectural principle and geothermal heating. So it's a unique property that was constructed mainly using local material. To move on, like we said, how to get here. This is a little summaries on how you're gonna get here. So Verona 2:15, Milano 3 hours. You have to know that there is 3 airports: Milano Malpensa, Milano Linate, and Milano Bergamo or Orio, which is a smaller airport. And they're all about 3 hours, between 3 and 4 hours to reach here. Venice is similar, while Munich is about 5 hours. If you ever been or you never been to Madonna di Campiglio, it's not the best name to remember, but it's actually a little gem. It's always been said that Campiglio is the pearl of the Dolomites, sorry, the gem of the Dolomites versus Cortina, which is the pearl of the Dolomites or the queen. There's always been a battle, but it's a small town that was actually started as a summer destination. So the very first construction here was from the 15th century. So when you compare us to many other, for example, ski resorts in France, they're way younger. Way younger means 1964, for example, for Courchevel, and it was built as a winter destination. So they basically place a town to be one of the best ski destinations. Campiglio was born with an hostel and a church, which you can see down here. And then it developed through the years. By the end of the 18th century, was very famous for the summer trekking, because the princess and the emperor, Franz Joseph, and the Princess Sissi, they were coming here on summertime to enjoy the beauty and, let's say, the environment that was here. Imagine that the train that gets close to Campiglio in the next valley, it was the very first electrical train ever built. So we're going back about 200 years. Campiglio, it's basically a 2 full season place, venue. We go from June to October, and then from end of November to the middle of April. Why I'm not precise with the dates? Because the dates goes also with the snow. In summer, in generally, they go with the heat. We're based at 4,500 feet. This, for you and for the one that knows Colorado, it could sound very low, but actually for Europe, it's very high. When I say high, means that you have to consider our zero is Garda Lake or Venice. Garda Lake is 600 feet and Venice is obviously 0. When you're speaking about Colorado, Denver is at the height of Madonna di Campiglio. So the base difference it's very important. So here in certain tail of the season, like many other places in the Dolomites, the weather could change quite quickly. And for example, now we get the first very little snow at the top of the mountains a few days ago. So in this moment, the pinnacle of the Dolomites are white. The Dolomites itself, they reach 9,000, over 9,000 feet. Some of them, they reach 11,000 in general. And this is a picture that shows, I think, very well how Madonna di Campiglio looks like in winter. So it's a very cozy town surrounded by the Dolomites on the left-hand side. Those are the Dolomites of Brenta. The difference between us and some others is that the right-hand side is actually surrounded by the Adamello Glacier, the national park, and this is very unique because there is no other places in Europe which have in the same valley, in the same, let's say, town, 2 completely different geological era. One is the Dolomites, there's 225 million, and then on the other side is the granites, where it is approximately 70 million. The granites is a volcanic, And this gives you a very different panorama, very different views, especially in winter time, you could feel it, but in summertime is even more, because every day you do a different trekking, a different hiking, and you have a completely different visual on the mountains. You can see also how much it's ski out the entire town. Imagine that in lower season, Madonna di Campiglio hosts approximately 1,000 people. So there's my family and some others. In high season, we're 32,000. So there is 70 hotels. It's a very nice place with a lot of things to do, 26 restaurants. The gastronomy level here is extremely high. There is 26 restaurants and 9 of them are listed in the Guide Michelin. And one very important thing is that the level of the gastronomy, not only in town, but also up on the mountain, is very, very high and very different. So you can have one day a lunch where you do a kind of a star Michelin restaurant while you're skiing, and the next days you can have a hot dog and a beer, and that's it. So on your clients, you can design the entire week in summertime or in wintertime based on their wishes. If they're very foodie, if they're high-end, if they prefer traditional and classic, you can really play around. So when we're talking about summer here, we're talking about a paradise of nature. So hiking and trekking obviously are playing the main role. This is one of the pictures that I like to show the most. This is just an hour out of a lift that is open in summer, and it gives you a sense of what means Dolomite. Oops. Just a second. Let's see if we can open it better. Okay. Moving on, so we were saying there is also quite a bit of a culture that's around Madonna di Campiglio itself. As I said before, Campiglio, it's a mountain town, but it's surrounded by a very, let's say, deep culture. It goes back to the medieval time, so there is more than 300 castles that are in the Trentino regions, and they're all open in different ways, such as a gallery, or they're used by event. They all can be visited during the summertime. This is one of the pictures that probably represent the best of the hiking. A lot of people could say, well, when you're professional, you're thinking about hiking or you're thinking about skiing in a very difficult way. This is absolutely wrong. Which means that in a town like Campiglio, there is endless possibility of building the itineraries for your guest. From being, a Miami person that hasn't been to the mountains ever, so you give them a 20 minutes hike with a beautiful view and a coffee, and somebody that wants to jump into the waterfall and just relax in cool water, or to have a hike that can be from 5 to 7 hours, and then it brings you to the famous Via Ferrata that are more challenging and more for experts. So there is a lot of things for everyone, and this is one of the main characteristics of Madonna di Campiglio, is that it fits for all different clientele. This is a little bit of the summary of what is possible. There is one of the oldest golf courses in Italy. It's actually the third one, and it was the first one in the Alps. So imagine that the golf course in Campiglio was built in 1905 by Henry Cotton, an English player, and it was opened in the 1920s. So it was the very first golf course in the Alps. Road biking, of course, a lot of other possibilities that are around. This is some of the picture that shows you a mountain hut, a classic refugio, some of the ferrata, etc., etc. Winter, as we mentioned before, is one of the main ski destinations. We're part of the Epic, which means that if your clients owns an Epic Pass, they can spend between up to 6 days complimentary. We're not owned by the Epic Pass. This is very important, but we have a cooperation. So Epic, for the one that doesn't know, it's a ski pass that is, let's say, the opposite of Icon. Icon is owned by Aspen versus Epic, which is owned by Vail. And they basically share some of the best ski destinations. So Epic Pass has Madonna di Campiglio. They have, for example, Verbier. They have Le Trevalet, Courchevel, and they have Saint-Anton and Tours. versus Aspen that, for example, with Icon have Kitzbühel, and they also have Zermatt. So they basically share Europe in two different parts. We have 71 lifts that are all connected. You can see here part of it. So from one resort to the other, there is 4 resort and 4 valley, and there is 30% of beginner, 40% is intermediate, and 30% is expert, giving you a wide range of possibilities to join and to enjoy the mountains on a different level. The Chalet del Sogno is actually based here at the bottom of this black one, and also at the bottom of the blue one that comes from the side. This is an overview of the lift situation. So if you think as something to compare, you connect Aspen Island with Aspen Snowmass, with Aspen Buttermilk, and Aspen itself, and you get almost the same size. So we're very, very big. You can see where Chalet del Sogno is based. You take a lift up, you go to 7,000 feet, and then from here, you start skiing up and down, and you can connect all over, going to the next valley and back. You're skiing basically from 10,000 feet all the way to 2,100 feet. And this is all connected. So every day you can also choose one of the sides. So if you want to be south face or north, depending on the weather. And the whole ski slope, this is a question that often give me, Alberto, what is the best period? We offer one of the best snowmaking in the world. So we're very famous to be the first to open. Normally it's the middle or the end of November. And we go usually 1 or 2 weeks after Easter. If you ask me, we have an average of 20, 25 feet. But during COVID, we get 55 feet. 2 years ago, we didn't get much. And I can promise you, after 25 years, there is not one resort that can consider with more snow than others. This is very hard to predict nowadays. France can be a very good season, and then the year after can be green until February. California can get tons of snow, and Colorado will get it later. So it's very hard to say which one is the best period. In Italy, we say that a weather and women you can command, and I think this is very well said. The next one, this is a little bit of the overview, what you're expecting when you're skiing into the Dolomites, snowboarding as well. We are one of the biggest snow park in Europe, and this is what you can get basically 6 minutes out of the hotel. You take the lift up, and this is the surrounding. So another thing that is very important is that 40% of our clientele in winter, they are non-skier, which means that there is a lot of possibilities of promenade, snowshoes, or even simple stuff that everybody can afford. It's quite family friendly for the kids as well. So for family that have from 4 or 5 years old up to, let's say, 15, 16 easily. This is some of the events that are in summer times as well, in winter time, that gives you a full overview of the area. So this was just an introduction to the destination, the summer and the winter, and then we are actually entering in the Chalet del Sogno world. So as we mentioned before, the chalet was built in 2006 from my family love. When we say in 2006, we built it from scratch, and it was a dream come true because actually we had the land, but the land would not be possible to build any houses. And so my parents decided to basically welcome their friends and give them the experiences of 40, 50 years of living in here. They decided to build up the Chalet del Sogno, which was a dream, and on top of it, building their home. So nowadays, it features 18 suites, like we said, and those are all built in bioarchitectural principle and with the highest standard of sustainability. For many of you, might not be important, but in Europe, this is something that is becoming very, very important. So we are the first one that use the geothermal system, which means we have zero emission. And we added in the last years also the photovoltaic. So basically, it's a place that in summer can be auto-sufficient. Another very important thing when we're speaking about bioarchitectura, you can probably see the background of my video. It's that it's all of it being built with local materials. Local material means we use granite, we use pine, Swiss pine, larch, and materials that are only found within, let's say, 100 kilometers from our area. So there is no plastic at all. We stopped using plastic in the property 4 years ago, and there is no chemicals in the whole painting. So the hotel was awarded several times for this attention to the sustainability. This is a little sketch of what means geothermal system and how this works in the room. I think it's very important to understand that being sustainable doesn't mean losing the comfort or the luxury. It's actually a different approach. It's more like an intimate luxury. We still have the highest standard, in the rooms of comfort. Completely new mattresses. All of the room are fully insonorized. They're actually separate one room to the other with a special material that divided them so that you not have any. They're completely soundproof. And each of our room are completely different. They go from 355 to 520 square feet. So those are divided in four major categories: the junior suite south and north, the comfort suite, and the luxury suite. But actually, each of the room has a different style and a different decor, and those recall the flower, the plants, and the animals of the Dolomites. My mother, she's a biologist, so she wanted to dedicate each of the room with a different color, different decor, and obviously recall a theme. So you will choose, for example, the Edelweiss room, or you will choose the squirrel, etc., etc. So you can see this is the entrance of the Marmot, and all of the room are very, very, I would say charm is probably the right word to describe them. They're all are equipped with a shower, and some of them, they also have, beside the biggest shower, a jacuzzi, so hydro massage. Some of them are one space only, within the wardrobe, the closet, etc. Some of them are actually two areas, so the living room and the sleeping room. And as you can see from the picture, each of them has a completely different interior and a completely different decor. We just renew completely the whole floors with a particular larch, which is a new way of, let's say, preparing the wood for the floor. And some of them have the moquette. The rooms are completely, they have a system of insulation that takes away any problems with allergies, and they're also thermo-insulated. This is a special system that we have within the property that helps to 24 hours to rechange the air, but at the same time maintain the temperature in the room that you like. All of them have a view and a balcony. They're looking either at the mountains, on the south they're looking at the Dolomites, on the west they're looking at the village and at the town. This is a little one of our, let's say, the entry, which is a junior suite Rosa Verde, 350 square feet. You can see here the access at the closet. The pave here is in large, and the whole room is built in large as well. So it's very, very classic and very Alpine oriented. This is the style that we wanted to have. We don't want to have something that is extremely modern, like many of the other property are being built nowadays. We wanted to keep our identity and our soul. This is the deer suite, as you can see here. It's recalled on the pillow. This is the squirrel, 475 square feet. This is the sleeping room, actually, and you can see some of the details within the room. In the other, outside the door here, we have the living room, where there is also the sofa couch that can be transformed into a kid's bed. So we can fit from 2 up to 5 guests in each of the room. So usually also the guests ask us, do you have connection? Do we have connecting room? Yes, we do. We have two, but honestly, a lot of our clients, long-term clients, they choose to take a floor, which means that you have two families, for example, with 4 kids total, you take 4 rooms and you basically have the entire floor. You have to think that when you have only 18 suites, the spaces are very different. So one floor is made out of 5 rooms. So basically they can be on their own. There is some of the parts of the corridor where you have only 2 rooms, so it's one next to the other. This is a view of the Pane Verde, which is another one. This is the orange, and this is made in Cermolo, which is a very particular wood that still leave a lot of this flavor. So when you enter those rooms, you feel really immersed into what is an Alpine environment. Our courtesy set it's made, we produce our own, so we decided to have no more plastic, as I mentioned before. This is aluminum recycle that we get directly, and we refill with a special engine that we designed within our family. The communal areas, you can see it probably feel more to be like in a mountain home more than being actually in an hotel. And this is what most of the guests says to our property, that they feel home from the day that they come in to the day that they leave. And this is actually the lobby. This you can see, it's right behind me. You can probably see the same pictures. And this is a typical stove on the left-hand side, which most of the room are equipped as well. The difference is the one in the lobby has wood fire. The one in the room are actually electrical. But you can see a lot of the details in the furniture, in the way the wood is being crafted. It's very, very unique. Moving on, this is the entrance of the breakfast room. The breakfast is completely separate. He has a very good view over the mountains, so a lot of light, and we decided to have an elegant area. It's completely separate from the restaurants. We offer partially a la carte breakfast and partially a buffet. And obviously, we're working with most of our suppliers that are within, let's say, driving distance. So this is the restaurant. It's another gem. It's called the Due Pini, and is one of the top 3 restaurants in Madonna di Campiglio. We don't want to offer like super fancy food, but what we wanted to offer again something that is very experiential. So we have been working a lot with our ingredients. We've been working to develop traditional recipes as well, which are being used or developed in nowadays kitchen. But the style here, you can see on the background, the Dolomia. This is the original Dolomia. The names come from Dolomites, which is the geologist that discovered the Dolomites. This one is a particular large wood, and those tables were designed, I actually designed them, and were made by resin in a tree that was fallen a few years ago. So we try to give a very, very high identity on the restaurants as well and what we serve. Imagine that the menu is divided by territory. We're starting from the pasture, we're moving down with the forest, and then the bottom of the valley, so the garden, more vegetarian, and then we're closing with the river and the sea and the lake to offer all sort of experience. So we go from vegan to fish to meat to the classic Italian primi. This is one of the corners that probably represent the best the restaurant. You can see this is the hunting corner. Then we have the hiking corners, the skiing corner. So all the restaurant is divided in different atmosphere. And to close our hotel, obviously, we cannot miss the wellness area. The wellness area is equipped with an indoor pool, the steam bath, the sauna, and obviously, there is 3 different cabins with therapists that are very nice to come and relax at the end of the day. Sorry about that. This is some of the corner and some of the other part of the spa. This is one of the most beautiful corner. This is our 2 beds room where actually our therapists, they do the double massage. And those that you see on the background here are dried flower that are used to give the taste, let's say, in the rooms. This is one of the other corner, which is the relaxing area with ergonomic beds, and those are water mattresses. So we feature 750 square feet of spa. And this one, it's a little bit of a recap of what we wanted to offer to our guests, which is a full experience. So the Chalet del Sogno is also famous for the way we wanted to design to the guest what they wishing for. So as a travel agent, you tell us what they like, what your clients would like to do, how they are, and then we try to give you and to design for you what the future experience will be for them. This is some of the sketch that I think recall some of the activities. So you can see here the Ferrata kit, the Via Ferrata, from the kitchen lessons to the Castle Medieval, to the hiking, to the cheese tasting, etc., etc. So to summarize it, why to come to Chalet del Sogno? 10 reasons. First of all, it's an eco-luxury. The Chalet del Sogno reflects my family deep respect for local tradition, blending natural beauty with timeless craftsmanship. Authentic Alpine heritage. I think the word authentic is very important nowadays. Everybody is asking for authentic, but then many times you're actually booking for big property which has a very high marketing, and we don't, because obviously we're small. But what we like to offer is a very authentic experience. One family run experience and atmosphere. Yes, it is a home, but you have to keep in mind we still have 27 employees, which makes a ratio of 1.8 for each of the guests. So on a total of 36 guests, we actually have 26 employees. So the standard of the service is at the highest possible way. Exclusive spa retreat. Obviously, when you're only 36 guests, I give you the images of our spa. It's small, so people has his intimacy in their own spaces. Breathtaking Dolomites view. You just walk out of the door here, you take a lift up, 6 minutes, and you see the Dolomites. So a lot of properties nowadays are actually sponsoring the Dolomites, even though they're far away from them. We are actually in the heart of the Dolomites, and this is proven. You can take a walk here, 15 minutes out of the hotel, and you're right in the national park valleys, where you actually overview the Dolomites itself. Prime ski access, we mentioned that before. Some of you might have forgotten, but the hotel is ski in, ski out. The lift is right next to us. Gourmet dining, obviously, we have a lot of attention on what we serve. Intimate luxury, this is probably one of the best words. Why is it intimate? Because we believe that this is the way we wanted to offer within 18 rooms. Tailored outdoor experiences, we went through this before. So you ask what your guest wants, the transfer, the hiking, the ski instructor, etc., and we design it for you. And then sustainability meet wellness, because obviously the property has the highest sustainable standard, but in the same way, it wanted to offer you the best wellness and retreat possibility. So this was about it from my side, and I'm very happy to welcome any questions or any particular needs.
Grazie mille, Alberto. That was a wonderful and very thorough presentation. And I know we're very proud to have you as a part of our collection, and any guests that return from your property are citing each of those 10 reasons why the Chalet del Sogno is so special. So highly recommend that you're there. We've gotten some great comments about how amazing your property is and your presentation was, so thank you. If you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A bar, and I do see a few. Number one, can you share, will Madonna di Campiglio be affected with the upcoming Winter Olympics in 2026? And with respect to that question, do you still have availability during that period as well?
So to give you a little insight, I do work for the International Ski and Snowboard Federation. So I will be the one that designed the course in Livigno for the snowboard cross. We are located in the middle of 3 of the main clusters. The Olympic will be 9 clusters. So you have to be very careful where your clients wants to go and which discipline they wanted to see. Because if they go in Cortina, they will see only the women Alpine and a few other events. If they want to see Alpine ski men, they will have to go to Bormio. If they wanted to see freestyle and snowboard, they have to go to Livigno. So Campiglio will be effective. We have a few rooms left during Christmas and as well as February. February is obviously the Olympic dates will go from the 4th of February to the 20th of February. But as I said, there will be 9 clusters within 4 hours driving. So from Milano, which will be the opening ceremony, the closing ceremony will be in Verona. There will be 3 villages, one in Livigno, one in Cortina, and one in Milan. So it's quite spread out. So I would tell you, if they wanted to see Alpine ski men and women, probably the Chalet del Sogno is a good place, because we are 2 hours drive from Bormio and 2 hours drive from Cortina. So I think the most important is to understand what your clients want to see, and then based on there, you decide. They can also, for example, come skiing here and then go see the events in Livigno. or for example, they go in Milano because they want to see the hockey, and then they come up here for skiing. So there is a variety of possibility.
That's great. And with the second part of that question, do you still have availability during that season as well?
Yes, we do have a few room left in February, but they're running
Going quickly.
quickly.
Yes, wonderful.
It's still early.
Yes, I imagine so. I have another question just about the room configuration. Can the beds be reconfigured in both king and twinned and separated?
Yes. We just did some extra work this summer. So the junior suite Azzurro, they can also be twin beds. So now over 18 rooms, 11 of them can be either king size or they can be completely separate and be a twin beds, which means that you can fit a family where the kids are 16, 18 years old. You can easily fit with a big room for the parents and then take the next room for the kids and having let's say a normal, actually a big size bed.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for that. Just one more point of clarification. How far away is Trento again?
Trento is only 1 hour. Trento
Okay.
is the main city of the region Trentino. We're about 1 hour from Trento and 1 hour and 15 from Bolzano.
Wonderful. Very convenient.
Yeah. Yeah. For the ones that want to get the train into Trento and visit Trento, yes.
That's great. Wonderful. And then I guess I'll wrap up with just one wonderful comment from an advisor, Mary Evans. She said, ciao to you. An excellent presentation. She said, Alberto has said it all. She stayed at Chalet del Sogno 2 weeks ago and would just like to express how everything he said is all true and so much more in person. Alberto will personally assist you and your clients, which is very rare. So that's wonderful feedback, Mary, and I think was worthy of sharing out loud so that everyone in the presentation can hear truly how special you are, Alberto, as well as your family's home, Chalet del Sogno. So with that, I'll wrap us up today. Thank you all for attending. We will reach back out to everyone who registered for the event with a recording of the webinar and contact information for Alberto. And we will also be passing your information along to Alberto so that he can personally reach out to you as well.
Thank you, everyone, for taking the time. We look forward to welcome you in the futures.
Thank you so much, Alberto. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Lush. Thank you, guys.